Hi everyone, Ryan here with Fight Game Analysis, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Angela Hill and Ashley Yoder. If you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, so we've got a good fight coming up here between Angela Hill and Ashley Yoder. Now both these women took this fight on short notice. I think it was like 6 or 7 days. It was just announced and they're both jumping out there. That being said, both of them consistently stay in shape. Both of them stay in the gym. So I don't expect either one of them to come in this one and it was like they had to drop a bunch of weight in a short period of time, or they felt like they were unprepared. You know, above and beyond that, this is also a rematch. Took place maybe 3.5, 4 years ago. So even though that was a long time and both women have progressed since then, they do have a little bit of experience fighting each other. So going into this one, it makes that short notice just a little bit less of a concern. When you look at the first fight, which is obviously the first thing we want to do when we're handicapping this one, the story of it ended up being Angela Hill was the better striker. Ashley Yoder could not take down Angela Hill enough and keep her down and cause enough damage to end up getting the win. She got her down a couple times. Angela Hill popped up, got her down once in the second round, held her down for a little bit, but couldn't really do any damage. Angela Hill ended up getting a reverse on it, ended up on top for a little while herself. Hill ended up getting the decision victory in that one. Ended up being not all that magnificent of a fight, but both women have progressed since then. Right, so the question becomes, how much have they progressed since then? How's it going to look when they match up this time? So when we take a look at Ashley Yoder, right, we'll start out with her. She came into the game as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. That was her starting point. That was her bread and butter. Before she entered MMA, she was a grappler. During that first fight with Angela Hill, she was a purple belt. She's now since progressed up to a black belt. So she currently holds a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Coming in from that grappling background, what you can expect is that somebody's going to have to come in and work on their striking, which is exactly what you saw with Yoder. Since she's come into the UFC, particularly, you've seen her striking progress. And she's actually, one of the things that I think when I watch her fights is that she was kind of trying to find her style at first. She didn't know exactly what she wanted to do. And I believe that in between that first fight with Hill and now, she really has found her style. So she comes in, you know, she's worked on her striking, although it's not great. But what she likes to do above and beyond her striking is really get to the clinch. At first, it seemed like she didn't know how she was going to utilize her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Because Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, when you just train it itself straight as a martial art, it doesn't include the takedowns. So when you get into MMA, the fight starts standing up. You need to get the fight to the ground. You think of that as that's a wrestling thing, right? That's what wrestlers do. They specialize in taking it from the feet to the ground. So she needed to work on that, figure out how she was going to do it. Was she going to come out and start using traditional like single legs and double leg takedowns like you would see from collegiate wrestling? Was she going to go to the clinch more and try and do takedowns that way? So she was going to have to find her style, and that's what we've seen now. She likes to work the striking, and then if she's being aggressive, she likes to go forward. She likes to initiate the clinch, get it up against the cage, and then from there, get the fight down to the mat. She does use defensive wrestling on occasion. We saw against Randa Marcos. Marcos was getting aggressive, coming forward, starting to land some strikes. And Yoder would drop down with that double leg and use the wrestling defensively, take the fight to the ground, kind of slow it down a little bit, get herself in top position, which is where she likes to be. Will that game plan work? I mean, you look at her striking. Yes, she's been working at it. Yes, she's been progressing, but it's not great. You know, I'm not really a big fan of it. She stands in that southpaw stance. The left hand is okay. I mean, she'll work it at the end of a 1-2. She can use it. She can back up a little bit and counter with it. So it's decent in that regard, but it's not very versatile. She can't slip it into small spots. She doesn't work the uppercut with it well. She doesn't know how to loop it over the top when she needs to, depending on her opponent's defense. You know, she doesn't work angles. So she comes straight in and out. She's tall and she keeps her chin up. She gets caught with a lot of shots. You know, to be perfectly honest, I'm not a big fan of her striking. And that's where Angela Hill shines. Okay, Angela Hill comes from a Muay Thai background. That's where she started. She comes into MMA, and she's the exact flip side of what Yoder did. Yoder came in as a grappler. Hill comes in as a striker. She comes in, and she's continually worked on her striking. And instead of trying to become a better grappler, so to speak, or really work on her wrestling, she's taken it from the defensive standpoint. She's tried to really work her defensive wrestling, tried to stay on her feet as much as possible. If she does get taken out, pop back up. That's actually what we saw in her first fight with Yoder. She has continually worked that same plan. She's continually worked on her defensive wrestling until, okay, and this is a big until her last 2 fights. You saw she took these last couple losses, and I follow her on social media. I see some of the things she says. I believe she's actually taking a different approach now. She's going to approach wrestling and grappling differently. I would not be surprised in this fight to see Angela Hill initiate a takedown, get Yoder on her back, because she knows that she lost past fights for being taken down. And even though she wasn't taking a bunch of damage on the ground, and even though she felt like she won the stand-up, she lost the decision because of that. So it would not surprise me in the least, knowing that she's been working on her wrestling, that she would go in there, feel like she's the better striker, work that, and then go in and actually initiate 1 or 2 takedowns just to get the points from it, just to get that in the judges' eyes. And I think she could do it too. You know, she's really strong for her size. She's athletic. I think she could go in there, initiate that. It would catch Yoder off guard. I mean, nobody's really expecting Angela Hill at this point, other than me saying it on this video, right? to go out there and initiate a takedown. That's definitely more a Yoder's game. But we'll see. We'll see. As far as just straight on the feet, I give it to Hill all day. She's faster. She's more explosive. She's got more diversity in her strikes. I like her low kicks. She uses the angles a lot more. The footwork is not only going to help her land her strikes, it's going to help her defensively. It'll also help her when Yoder's trying to close the distance and get her up against the cage and get her in that clinch. I think this is really going to end up being a good fight for Angela Hill's skills to shine. I think it'll show big progression between their first fight and this one here. Don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that Hill's going to go out here and blow Yoder out the water or anything like that. But I do think that this will be a fight that at the end, when it's all said and done, we'll look back at it and we'll say that Hill was pretty much in control for the most of it, and she'll end up winning a comfortable decision. Let me know what you guys think. Is this going to be a win for Angela Hill, or is Yoder able to make it 1-1? And then sometime down the line, are we going to be looking at a trilogy? Let me know.